Hi guys, I have another interview that I did with West. I had a whole bunch of questions for him. This is pretty personal, it's about the things I've been exploring internally, that it seems like my nervous system and my brain and my beliefs, my subconscious beliefs and my past experiences and my autonomic nervous system and all those things has created this sort of pattern that I've noticed that I'm having a difficult time I was having a difficult time understanding, and having a difficult time when really thinking through, like, am I ever going to be able to overcome this? And so I'm going to tell you what it is, because I've mentioned it to a couple friends and they're like, I'm the same way. So one of my stories that I tell myself, and this is what West and Cammie's work, they're neuroscience based formulas, human formulas to help us to live the life we want to live and do the things we want to do and overcome these subconscious patterns and behaviors and thoughts. And it's so much about the stories we tell ourselves. And sometimes we don't even know we're telling ourselves those stories. And when we do know we're telling ourselves those stories, then we validate them, and we have to keep telling ourselves, yeah, that's why I tell myself the story, is because it's true. And so the story that I have realized that I've been telling myself for, I don't know, probably close to a decade. I went through some really memorable, I'll say, experiences. Some of them were traumatic. And there's a pattern that goes way back to the time I was, probably, a young woman, a preteen, where I told myself a story that if I look a certain way, that I'm not safe. Okay. So even though I know it's healthier for me to not eat sugar and to exercise and things like that, when I don't feel safe in my life, my subconscious seems to sort of take over my body and guard it, armor it with extra weight. And I don't have a problem with extra weight. I'm not talking about body size. I'm talking about the things that happen. I get these compulsions when something really good is about to happen that will put me in the public eye. And so I asked Wes the question, as a neuroscience expert, a scientist, I just asked him to maybe sort of explain to me, like, what could be happening when something really good is going to happen in my life, and I'm going to have to emerge out into the public, because even though I have a very public career, it's not my most comfortable place to be. I'd rather be somewhere like this with a couple of people than I would be out in the public. But because of the work I do, I've had a very public career for 25 years. And it's something that I have to overcome a lot. But when something, like, I have a new book coming out, a couple of new books coming out, I have a new course coming out, I have some incredible opportunities coming up where I'm going to have the opportunity to be in front of a lot of people. Myself, my brain, my nervous system, my autonomic nervous system it seems sort of, I'm going to say sabotage me, but really it's about protecting me. And I'll all of a sudden have all these compulsions to just eat compulsively until I've gained, it's usually 25, sometimes up to 40 pounds when something good is coming up. And it happens pretty fast. And it's almost just like I can't control it, So I sat down with West and I asked him this very hard question. You can imagine, how uncomfortable that makes him to talk to a woman, about something like this without sounding, without saying things that might get him in trouble or whatever. But I asked him to just explain to me from a neuroscience, a neurochemical standpoint, what might be happening when really good things are about to happen in my life. Why I suddenly want to binge out on Cheetos and ice cream and potato chips and bread and butter and chocolate, and until I can't feel. Like I said, this is a really vulnerable topic for me, but I really want to get to the bottom of this. And he gave me some really beautiful, helpful answers. And that's what I want to share with you now. This is so much in line with the curriculum that I'm creating right now about writing new stories. His curriculum is about writing new stories, telling yourself new stories. Mine is about, physically with your hands, making the story, a story vision board, like going backwards and rewriting your old stories, writing your present stories, writing your new stories from a place of neuroscience where your brain believes you, and supports you in what you're trying to create. And so our work is very complementary, but he's an absolute expert in neuroscience, and I've learned so much from him and from the horses that he trains with neuroscience, because the horses, you're able to watch the horses go through some of the same panic modes that human beings do, and see yourself, do it that way. So I'm going to give you this answer, this little conversation that we had, and I hope it helps. I hope it helps you. Like I said, it's a vulnerable topic, but it has helped me a lot, and I hope it helps you. And if you want to work with Westmore, he's got a beautiful offering called the Relationship Formula, where you can work with him and Cami, and with their online course and on Zoom and things like that, and it'll transform your life. It's completely transformed my life. So here's our conversation about my compulsion to eat Cheetos when something good's going to happen in my life. Okay. I love you. Mwah.
If we keep with that story, if you start with that story, a week before your event, and you allow that story to keep going, you're getting chemically rewarded every time that thought comes through of, I'm nervous to go up there. I don't, if I share this, somebody's going to say something negative.
Okay.
We're going to get a dopamine reward.
So dopamine feels good.
Dopamine is a behavior reward system, and dopamine's kind of nicknamed the I want to do it again drug.
Okay.
And I love that nickname for it, because no matter which way you reward yourself, so let's say you're getting ready to go on stage, you're getting ready to release a new course, if your story is, oh, I don't know if anybody's going to like this, I'm scared I don't know if I want to do this, or, oh, I'm going to have mean people say things about my course, or if you're going to go on stage like, oh, the people are going to not like me, or whatever, you'll start creating a reward system for that story, and then your autonomic system will say, hey, we're creating a reward here with this story. Let's amp up the story. Let's make it more intense to get a bigger reward to not do the thing, because that's what our story's saying.
Okay.
So if we keep with that story, if you start with that story, a week before your event, and you allow that story to keep going, you're getting chemically rewarded every time that thought comes through of, I'm nervous to go up there. I don't, if I share this, somebody's going to say something negative.
So so when you tell yourself a story that's rooted in fear, you get dopamine from
Yes.
that? Wow.
Yes, you will get a reward. And then
then you're like, I want to do that again.
And your autonomic system says, hey, let's do that again. So the next time you have an opportunity to do something brave and bold and to share, but you have that same little autonomic story coming up, how it works, the story starts to be told, and the body's like, hey, neurochemically, I know where this goes. This is fear and stress. Let's just jump clear to panic.
Yeah.
Let's just do this faster. Let's just be efficient.
Let's just shut you down.
Let's not go a whole week with this torment. Let's just train wreck you right now.
Wow.
So the more we do that, the more we have the phrase or the story that's rooted with, whether it's negative or a stressful type story, like I don't feel comfortable sharing this, or I don't want to be on stage, I want people to see me, and we create that neurochemical reward, it just happens. Our body will get efficient and more efficient to where before long, you're like, I'm not even going to go outside today.
Yeah.
And so
I've done it.
Our body just creates that neurochemical. So we're getting rewarded. And that's the cool part about neurochemistry. And what I love about this formula is that it's not rooted in protocols or procedures. It's just science.
Yeah.
It's just neurochemicals. And when we can find our way individually to manage our neurochemicals, or to even label it, or to tell the story of, I'm having a neurochemical experience right now. That's different than, I'm scared to death right now to go share. It's just that alone. That's two sentences.
So when I say to myself, I'm scared to death to go share, I get dopamine.
You're going to get rewarded for that if you don't take action against it.
So can you give me an example of taking action against it?
As soon as you say it, you're going to find a way to pause. You've got to stop that loop because the neurochemicals are starting to go for the reward, right? As soon as you start saying, I'm really scared to go on stage and share. So you know what you're going to say before the words come all the way out. So your neural system is already creating your dopamine reward for scaring yourself.
Wow.
So
I have to tell you, even as much as I've learned from you, I don't know what I missed, but I thought you only get dopamine from things that actually feel good. But the dopamine feels good.
The dopamine feels good, so your autonomic system is going to get a reward of like, oh, look, see, we shut her down. Whew, we're back to safety. Dopamine.
So that's why we do things that we know aren't good for us. And we're like, why do I keep doing something I know isn't good for us? Is because when I do it, you think a thought that you know is not good for you, but logically you're thinking, why do I keep thinking thoughts that aren't good for me? I didn't know that a chemical actually got created in my body that did feel good when I thought that thought.
So your system under pressure, right? So let's say you get invited to go speak on stage somewhere and you hang up the phone and you're like, oh, I just got invited to go do this scary thing. I'm so scared. I don't think I can do that. Your system's already going for the reward. It's going to start rewarding itself, and you will find it extremely difficult to follow through with that commitment and actually make it on stage. And if we stay in this kind of this neurochemical battle back and forth, you can create yourself to be violently sick. So sick and so shut down in life, you can't even make it to the venue.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had that happen to me. I've had an event that I'm going to, and before I knew how to help manage these chemistry, the day or the hour before the event, and many people, you've experienced this too, I'm sure, you're throwing up.
Yep.
You're in the bathroom. That's your autonomic system trying to find its balance and find its way with it. So the more times you go through that struggle, the better you get at maintaining that neurochemistry to get the reward on your terms, not on the fear-based terms. Because we're getting rewarded, and dopamine is required for learning.
Okay.
So every time
Will you say that again?
Yeah.
Say it 3 times.
Dopamine is required for learning.
Again.
Dopamine is required for learning.
I did not know that. So can you explain that just a little bit?
So when you get that dopamine release, when that dopamine rewards you for your behavior, you're learning. You could be learning a very crappy habit. You could be learning something very negative about yourself. The neurochemicals don't care. They are just science. Dopamine rewards behavior. Good, bad, smart, dumb behavior, whatever. It doesn't care.
Yeah, because in my work, I'm constantly saying we're learning, growing, and becoming. And so I've never thought of learning as a negative thing, but you can learn behaviors that make you hate your life.
Absolutely.
You can get addicted to behaviors
Absolutely.
that make
And
you hate your life.
what you were describing earlier, kind of in the opening when you started about your body and how it wants to put the weight on during these things, it's just learned that.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking about it because I have all these things that are coming up, and they're amazing opportunities, and I've followed through on all my plans, but then I find myself like subconsciously eating Cheetos and M&Ms and ice cream, and my whole self is going, no, you need this. I'm telling, and to the point where I'm just like, okay, like so compelled that I almost can't stop. But at the same time, I'm going, why is this happening?
So that's the old behavior, right? That's the old learning. And whenever that happened, years ago, decades ago, whenever that was, or it's been happening all the way through, that is a very chemically bonded experience, a very chemically bonded, I feel like I want to say habit, but I don't know if habit's the right word.
Well, that's probably how you create addictions, though, right?
Your body under that level of pressure has been programmed to respond this way. So your body can't tell the difference that you're going into a safe environment or a fearful environment. If your neurochemistry says it's dangerous or it's unsafe, then it's our answer is add weight.
Yeah. That's so easy.
So it's like,
and it tastes good.
The body, the neurochemical system's like, well, hell yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Watch, here, I can get her to eat some Cheetos. Hang on a sec, watch.
I can do it without her even knowing what's happening.
And this will just feel good. And then even when you do eat that bag of Cheetos and you do the thing, the body, the neurochemical system says, reward.
Yes.
But inside, the mind is going, oh, that's so dumb.
And then you go to bed going, I cannot believe I just did that again.
And then you don't do anything about it, and it's like, reward. And it
so
just,
you get a reward for not doing anything about it.
Absolutely. It lays another neural network on top of the other one that said, you're fine.
I'm stacking
you're
dopamine.
You're gonna build a stronger neural network of not doing the thing you want to do.
Wow. You would think it would be so opposite of that.
And so to get that to work, what we need to do is create a new neural network and lay it like on top of the other one. Now this one's going to be very fragile and not going to be very supportive. It's not going to be able to handle a lot of pressure.
And there's also going to be a part of me that says bull. I have empirical evidence that when you get fit, you get hurt.
Yeah.
Is that what will happen? My story will show up?
That's your belief and that's your story, then that's what you will create that. You can absolutely create that. Because that's your previous layers of network. So to get a different result or to have a change, in your relationship with fitness, in a relationship with your body, in a relationship with yourself, you're going to lay down a new network on top of this. We can't get rid of these right off the bat. We can't just tear them out. But you put a new one on top. Okay. And it can handle a little bit of pressure.
Okay.
So you find a way that you put that new network under a little bit of pressure and then return back to safety.
What's an example of pressure in that with that new story, Well, did we even make a new story yet?
We haven't. Well, we could use the example.
Is that what you're saying? Is the fragile new thing is a new story?
Yeah. Let's say your example of speaking on stage. That seems to be a good one. So let's say you've got this new opportunity. Somebody calls you and says, Melody, I'd love you to speak on stage. Your old neural network says, yeah, okay, I'd love to. That'll be fantastic. Can I get back with you on that? For sure, though, I need to confirm and everything. Right? You hang up the phone and then it's like,
no.
I'm going to go, I know all this. My body's going to gain weight. I'm going to go through all of this struggle to go do that opportunity. So right there, we've already just reactivated the old neural network. It's coming up to the top and said, hey, Melody says she's going to go on stage. Here we go. Body, we got to add 40 pounds. And she said she was going to be on stage.
Call Mark and have him get Cheetos, chocolate,
right? She said
ice cream.
She's speaking and it's in 62 days. So we've got 62 days to gain 35 pounds. Mm-hmm. The neural systems, got it. Let's do it. Let's influence her this way. Let's influence her that way. It's going to start doing all of these things. It's going to bounce you into all of these old behaviors, your old belief systems that will get you to the point to where you show up on stage, you show up for that venue under all the stress, all of the old stories, and maybe you make it through.
Yeah, but I make it through
but the
with
whole
shame
time,
because
yes, you're going to be guilting and shaming and blaming and beating yourself up all the way through. So then guess what? You just reinforced 62 days of your old neural network. You just put another 62 layers on top and said, you are right.
Don't ever do that again.
It won't even say that. It'll say, let's do it again.
Do what again?
Let's speak again because let's add another 30 pounds. We can do it.
Jeez.
That's an accomplishment. It's a win-win.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Our body is just saying, as you wish. And so it is. It has to.
It has to. Why?
It has to because that's what your belief systems tell you need to happen before you can get on stage. So the body, the neurochemistry will agree with that and say, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because it's the old belief system. You're not consciously saying it. You're not saying, oh my gosh, Mark, I got to gain 35 pounds before I go on stage in 62 days.
No.
Run to the store.
No, I'm actually consciously saying I got to get fit. Like I got to start taking care of myself. That's the thing that's so frustrating. I know exactly what to do. But I get so tired, I don't know what happens, that all of a sudden I find myself doing the opposite. Like I know I need to drink water, I need to go walking, I need to be kind to myself, I need to take time, I need to do all these things. But it's almost like I treat myself worse when something really good is about to happen in my life than when nothing is happening in my life. I can take really good care of myself if no one sees me.
If there's no pressure.
Oh, it's the pressure.
If there's no pressure, it's easy to be safe and comfortable. A great example of that, and this is what one lesson the horses have shown me that fits perfectly here.
Okay.
I can work with these horses, wild horses, bring them into my round pen, right? The pen that they kind of live in is like right here, and then we bring them into the round pen. It's a bigger space, it's safer for all of us to work in. So we can do all the hard work in that round pen. We can build this relationship, and we can release a lot of fears, and we can get really comfortable with each other. in that round pen. Mm-hmm. And maybe I can get on and I can ride that horse around in that round pen.
And you can bring an audience to see how...
And I can bring people and they can watch and see this horse in action and do all of its things. And then, so it becomes comfortable under that level of pressure in that environment, in that reality. Now, when I take that horse out of that round pen, and they'll do this almost every time, I can open the gate. So there's a gate on this side that goes to their pen, and there's a gate on this side that goes to the world, or right out to my ranch. So for their whole first number of experiences, it's from their pen to the round pen, back and forth through this gate. So they get very comfortable in those two environments. And when I get ready to take them out into another environment, I can go open that gate and start walking out that gate, and that horse will walk right to the boundary line of where the gate was. But the gate's open. The horse will walk right there and stop.
Because it knew it was safe within those boundaries.
Yep. And so it's like, I know I'm safe within these boundaries and under this level of pressure. You're asking me to go into a new environment. I don't have any experience out there. I don't have any knowledge about that. The horse's autonomic system just starts to ramp up, just like yours did when you hung the phone up and said, yeah, I'll speak on stage.
If I can do it from my living room on Zoom.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
So we're only as capable as we can get out of our comfort zone. And then the more we get out of our comfort zone, the bigger our comfort zone gets. So wouldn't it be neat for you to get that phone call that you've done this neurobiochemistry work on yourself over time, and you get that phone call that you get to speak on stage, whoever that's with, and you hang up and you're like, yes, I just got invited to speak at XYZ thing. And you already know that that stage is within your comfort zone.
Because I changed the story of what my comfort zone is?
Because you've been building and expanding your comfort zone little pieces at a time. So like that horse, I might get him right up to that gate and then just get him to walk out of the gate 3 feet, 5 feet. And then I got to stop right there and be like, you know what?
Because I've watched you. You'll take them a little ways and then you got to release.
Let's get a dopamine hit right here.
Oh.
Let's get a reward right here. Now, in my mind, I might be thinking, I want to take this horse clear down through the ranch and I want to go down to the river and walk across the river. That might be what I want to do. So that would be the example of, you're going to speak on stage in 62 days from now. But I want to get that horse just past its comfort zone, just out of that pen and be like, you know what? Let's have a dopamine release right here. Let's have a I want to do it again hit. Let's feel safe 5 feet outside this gate. Okay. We spend a minute, 2, 5, whatever, and we feel comfortable outside the gate. All right, let's go 25 feet outside the gate. Oh gosh, there's a tractor over there. Whoo, right? Something's changed. Let's get safe right here. Let's be okay with this. And as I do that in small steps and build that horse's reward system, that he's not leaving his comfort zone to go to danger. He's leaving his comfort zone to get rewarded, that he has a bigger comfort zone. And then after a little while, that horse starts getting the neurochemical rewards of like, if I do brave things, I feel good. And so then the horse is like, where can we go next? Can we go over by that tractor? Can I go by the scary thing to feel good? And so that can interpret into your phone call where you hang the phone up and you're like, yes, I already know I have a fitness program. I have my diet in place. Not that you're dieting, but you're eating proper foods.
I know how to eat to be good to my body.
Yes.
I know how to do it.
And so when you do that enough times, and you'll find a way to do it in small enough pieces so that when the big opportunity comes, you're like, I've already got, 100 dopamine hits lined up for me to go speak on this stage.
Okay, so let's talk about the steps of this, because this sounds possible. It sounds overwhelming also. Because what I'm imagining the horse, because I know where the river is, I know where the round pin is, so I can imagine all this. And I know in the old days they would just force the horse to go down to the river. They would break it. They would break its will. And I've done that to myself. I would just force myself to do something. I would traumatize myself and probably create more horrible feelings.
Yep.
So let's say I want to drink a gallon of water a day and walk 5 miles a day. That's what I like to do, 3 to 5 miles a day and drink a lot of water. Let's say that's my goal to do instead of what I've been doing. Okay. How could I keep my subconscious from going, no, that's not what you want to do. You want to eat Cheetos, ice cream, M&Ms and
Exactly.
potato chips. Like, what are the steps to get there?
I'll share a little hack that I use for me.
Okay.
And maybe it'll work for you or
Okay.
work for your people. But this is a hack that I would. As soon as you started saying that, you was like, "What could I do?" I was like, "Oh,
you do it.
This is the hack that I do because
Okay.
I've found over the years that if I tell myself the right story, I will do amazing things. I'll do hard things. So here might be a way you could do that.
Okay.
You're telling yourself you can drink a gallon of water and walk 5 miles every day. But then the old neural network comes in and says, "Oh, but Cheetos and a Netflix movie and then some Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Oh, that'd be awesome." Right?
And it'll keep you safe. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll be safe with that. Try this on. I would tell myself, I'm going to go for a walk today. I'm going to walk 5 miles and I'm going to drink a gallon of water. That's my goal for the day. Oh, but then the old story starts to come up. I want Cheetos and Netflix and Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Okay, West, you can have Cheetos and Ben and Jerry's ice cream and you can sit and watch Netflix after you drink a gallon of water and walk 5 miles.
Oh, wow.
After. Not before or instead of, but after.
If you want to.
Leave it as a choice.
Okay.
If you want to. Because here's what I found. After I go and do the hard thing, drink the gallon of water during the day and walk my 5 miles, when I come back and look at that bag of Cheetos, it's not near as enticing. I'm not going to get the reward that I thought I was going to get. I already got the reward for doing the hard thing, not doing the easy thing.
And then I would probably get a reward for passing on the Cheetos.
You'll get a reward for doing the hard thing, and then when you come back, you're going to go, that used to be a reward, but it doesn't actually feel like it's going to be a reward. Or you might even go, hey, I did the hard thing. I went on the walk and I drank all the water, and you might eat the Cheetos and the ice cream. And then afterwards,
That felt horrible.
that felt horrible. That wasn't the reward I thought it was going to be. So I put things in place of, instead of telling myself I can't do X, Y, Z, I tell myself I can do them on these conditions. So one of the things that I told myself when I first started going to the CrossFit gym, the class started at 5 a.m. And man, I tell you what, that was the hardest thing for me to go to that class at 5 a.m. in the morning. But here's what I told myself. I was like, West, you cannot go to the class every day of the week after you show up at the gym, walk in, go over to the coach, shake her hand, tell her, thank you for showing up for me this morning. I'm going to wuss out and go home. And then I can turn around and go back home. That was my conditions.
Okay.
So I didn't have to work out.
Yeah.
I did not have to work out. All I told myself I had to do in order to quit was to show up, compliment and acknowledge the other person that did show up for me, and then tell her eye to eye, I'm choosing out today. I'm going to go home, eat Cheetos, ice cream, and watch Netflix. Guess how many mornings I went home?
None.
0.
And then you probably got another dopamine reward after finishing. So you got 2.
I got like 500 in the class. All the way through the class, my friends that were there, the people I got to meet, the hard work that I did, the sweat, all of the things that I did, I got like 1 million. I got all these dopamine rewards.
So can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
So, just like I would get dopamine if I eat Cheetos a bunch of times, all those 500 you got the next day, was your brain at a point where it's like, I want to go do that again?
It got so easy that I was on, you know how you just kind of get up in the morning and you get yourself ready to go to work?
Yeah.
And you just find yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm at work already. I didn't even
Yeah.
know. Or, gosh, did I drop the kids off at school? I know
Yeah.
they were in the van, right? And they're not. I did. I dropped them off. I had to have. Right, it was so autonomic.
Wow.
That's what the gym became to me.
After how long?
Months.
Yeah?
It was not easy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not easy.
There's
but here's,
so much
here's the thing, though. I worked hard during those months, and I told myself that story every day is when I'd wake up at 4 o'clock, I'm like, I don't want to go today. The way I don't go is I show up. You know, I had to go through that whole dialogue a number of times, and then that dialogue started going away, and then doing all that hard work, all of a sudden, I'm like done with my workout, walking out in the parking lot at, 6 o'clock, 6:15 in the morning, and I'm like, yes, I'm done. I didn't have to think about it. And so that's where we want to expand that comfort zone, like you speaking on stage, so you can hang that phone up, you're like, that's a done deal. I already know that's a win. I'm going to kill it.
So do I rehearse that ahead of time? Like, do I
Find out what your conditions are. You
Okay.
gotta find where your stories come up, and
Okay.
it's finding this pause,
Okay.
the pause button. So you're gonna have to, everybody's got to find their own little storyteller and
Because you have
try
to
to
figure out where your
recognize.
snag is, right?
You got to find, when does that story come up that says I should eat the Cheetos?
Yeah.
When can I catch it? Is it after I eat the bag of Cheetos? I'm like, oh, dang, I did it again. Is it when you're at the store reaching for the Cheetos? Oh, I almost
did it
did
today. I told Mark, I was like, I really need Cheetos. And then I was like, need? I started questioning myself. And what I was waiting for is for him to go over and grab the Cheetos.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, you need Cheetos? And I said, yeah. And I was like going, if he goes and gets them,
Then I'll
I'm
take
going to
them.
eat them.
Then
But
I'll
if
take
he
them.
doesn't, I'm not going to. And I didn't go grab them, and I was really glad. But that pause
You're starting.
moment. Yeah.
That's the start.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
a pause moment.
And even look at those words, because if you say the words, I need Cheetos, the body agrees.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. And it will neurochemically reward you for saying that. So a hack you might do on that is like, subconsciously you're like, I really want to eat some Cheetos. Okay, I'll eat Cheetos after I go for a 2.5 mile walk.
Okay.
Just, you're
Yeah.
pausing
Yep.
between the thought and the action. And then replacing the action, instead of the action of reaching and opening the Cheetos, the action is pause, walk 2 miles, and come back. Do I still want to open the Cheetos? If you do, hell, go for it.
Yeah.
Eat the Cheetos.
And see.
It'll be a different neurochemical. All the crappy stuff in the Cheetos will affect your body a little differently because you did some hard work first. But when you just do the easy thing, then all the crappy stuff in the Cheetos is just like, here we go, 35 pounds. We got to do it in 62 days.
I have literally experienced this exact thing. It's like my body just knows. It's the weirdest thing.
There's a body-mind. When the body-mind starts controlling this mind, when the subconscious, that's what our body is the subconscious mind, when it is running the show, we just bought a ticket to go to the carnival. We're just along for the ride.
Wow.
But when we, ourself, and that's what the relationship formula helps us get to, where we can identify self. What am I? What's my involvement in this subconscious and this conscious, this soul, this heart? When we start defining that, and that's what this relationship formula really dives at, we start to dissect all of that out, where we can really take a look at it and go, wow, I am a whole bunch of this. And
Yeah.
how I label this and the stories I tell me influence what I am. So just breaking these stories into pieces, just pausing them, that's the power of this formula, is the pause. That's where it starts to work. If we can't find the pause, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So we've got to go into our life and find, how do I hit this pause button that Wes talking about? Where
And
is
then what
this
do you
pause?
do in the pause?
That
Because we were
pause-
talking about this yesterday. Because you could be like this in the pause and like make yourself even have more
The-
nervousness.
And that
you know?
that might be the first way you do it.
Okay.
And that might be it. You're like, I just stopped my subconscious
Yeah.
mind. I
No,
don't know what
I don't know what to do.
I'm scared to death.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, well, that was awesome. You
Okay.
did that.
So that's even a step.
That's absolutely anything. Because when
Okay.
we pause, it's going to send that subconscious mind into a space of, what the hell? Mm-hmm. What do you mean pause? No, I got a whole bag of Cheetos and a tub of ice cream to eat. There's no pause in this. But when we can pause it, now we're starting to change that neurochemistry. And the neurochemistry is what's driving the behavior. So when we can change the neurochemistry, we'll change the behavior of reaching for the Cheetos. Instead of reaching for the Cheetos, you'll find yourself halfway through your 2-mile walk and you're like, I didn't even think about Cheetos. I just know that I feel really good when I go for a 2-mile walk. And so the subconscious mind, the subconscious body is going to say, I want to feel good about this speaking engagement that we're going to do. And instead of the subconscious body, the subconscious mind reaching for Cheetos, you're going to reprogram it to reach for a 2-mile walk.
Wow.
And you'll find yourself on the walk feeling good. And you do that a number of times, all of a sudden Cheetos don't exist in your world. You won't even be able to make yourself buy them. They just will stop existing in your world. But you've got to stop the neurochemistry addiction.
Yeah.
We're addicted to dopamine, period. Yeah. It's human. We are addicted. Dopamine is what drives us to do everything.
And you can get dopamine from doing things that you ultimately
Negative,
hate doing.
absolutely. Self-destruction. Just look at any self-destructive behavior. There's a dopamine reward for that pain,
Jeez,
for
I
that
honestly
suffering.
thought dopamine only comes from things that you consciously know feel good. But I guess the dopamine is what feels good after you do the thing you hate.
Yes.
It's not the thing you hate that you loved doing. It's the dopamine. You
The whole
got from
time you're
doing
eating,
thing
the
you
whole
hate.
time you're eating the bag of Cheetos, and you're feeling good doing it. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, oh, Cheetos are my favorite. I love that cheesy taste, and I can feel it on my lips, and it's on my fingers, and dopamine.
Stop. You're so right.
I only know this because I know this, right? I've
Yeah.
lived this. It's not. This relationship formula is it's taken Candy and I 8 years
Yeah.
to find this.
I know. I've watched both of you,
It's
overcome things, and it's been remarkable. Like, so incredible.
Okay, so how incredible was that? I think this, I'm already incorporating a lot of these tips that he gave to all of us in this conversation. We had this conversation about a week ago. So I'm already incorporating a lot of that in. And I think the biggest thing I learned was about the pause. I'm finding myself pausing all the time. And like he said, if you can just stop yourself, stop yourself from either saying something in a way that's disempowering and makes your brain believe something that you don't want it to believe, or doing something that's not in alignment with who you want to become and what you believe is best for your life. If you could just start there, and then, start building new neural pathways and overriding the old ones. It's possible, even at our age, we can completely rewire our brains. I'm excited to see where the next year goes with utilizing this. I'm really going to utilize this to start taking really good care of my body. It's not about my body size. It's about honoring this vessel, having the strength and the endurance and the radiance. You want skin that sparkles and eyes that sparkle, and just to feel good in your body because you're taking good care of it. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I'll keep you guys posted. But like I said, if you want to, go join their online course called The Relationship Formula. I'll put the link here so you can check it out. Okay, love you. Mwah.